There are moments when a public figure speaks not for attention, but from recognition. Recently, Drew Barrymore shared heartfelt reflections about Savannah Guthrie during a private conversation among industry peers. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't promotional. It was personal. Drew, who has openly discussed her own complicated upbringing, spoke about something she has quietly observed over the years: Savannah's relationship with her mother, Nancy. According to Drew, understanding that bond offers insight into Savannah's remarkable composure during difficult seasons of life, not because there is scandal or secrecy, but because there is history, layered, loving, and intense. Drew's perspective wasn't about exposing anything. It was about illuminating the invisible emotional architecture that shapes how someone moves through pressure. And in Savannah's case, that architecture appears deeply rooted in maternal expectation. Two very different mother stories. Drew's reflections were shaped by contrast. She has spent years publicly unpacking her own childhood, speaking candidly about independence, therapy, and emotional rebuilding. When she looks at Savannah, she sees a different kind of maternal story. Not chaos, but structure. Not absence, but intensity. Drew described Nancy as a woman who valued strength, order, and resilience. In her view, Savannah was raised with the belief that life rewards those who stay steady under fire. That message can be empowering. It can also create pressure to perform competence, even when you're exhausted. Drew wasn't criticizing Nancy. She was acknowledging that love sometimes arrives wrapped in high standards. And for a daughter who deeply respects her mother, those standards don't feel optional. They become identity. They become internal voice. They become the lens through which every challenge is measured. The discipline of composure. Anyone who watches today recognizes Savannah's steady presence. Breaking news, emotional interviews, political tension. She rarely wavers. Drew believes that steadiness isn't simply professional polish. It's learned behavior. In her words, Savannah was forged to handle intensity without public unraveling. That forging shows up in small details, carefully structured statements, deliberate pauses, gratitude before vulnerability. Drew pointed out that Savannah often leads with appreciation even during difficult moments. That instinct suggests deep training in emotional discipline. While some interpret that calm as distance, Drew sees it as devotion to family values, to upbringing, to a belief that composure honors those who raised you. But composure has a cost. Holding the line constantly can make it hard to let yourself be messy, even when life demands softness. Love and expectation intertwined. One of Drew's central insights was this: sometimes love and expectation become inseparable. Savannah has often spoken warmly about her mother's encouragement. She credits Nancy for pushing her toward excellence and resilience. Drew doesn't doubt the love in that relationship. She simply observes that the encouragement was direct, sometimes challenging. Instead of soothing nerves, the response might be, "Are you prepared?" Instead of validating overwhelm, the advice might be, "Prioritize and conquer." For some personalities, that kind of guidance becomes fuel. For others, it becomes pressure. For Savannah, it appears to have been both. Drew suggested that over time, high expectation becomes internalized. You no longer need the external voice. You carry it with you. And when you carry it long enough, it shapes how you respond to everything: success, fear, uncertainty, even grief. Why strength becomes reflex. Drew noted something subtle. Savannah rarely defaults to visible chaos. When faced with stress, she organizes, she structures, she chooses clarity over emotional overflow. That's not because she lacks feeling. It's because she has trained herself to move through feeling without broadcasting it. Drew recognized that pattern instantly because she once operated from the opposite extreme. Open emotion, public unraveling, raw confession. Seeing Savannah's contained strength felt familiar in a different way. It looked like someone who believes that breaking publicly equals losing control. And control, when you're raised to value resilience, feels synonymous with safety. Drew emphasized that this isn't about suppression alone, it's about identity. When strength is praised consistently, you become strong almost automatically, even when what you need most is permission to set that strength down. The mother voice that never leaves. Many adults continue having internal conversations with their parents long after childhood ends. Drew believes Savannah is no exception. That internal maternal voice, encouraging, demanding, steady, likely guides her more than people realize. It might whisper, "Stand tall." It might ask, "Did you do your best?" It might insist, "Don't let them see you sweat." Over time, that voice becomes compass and critic simultaneously. Drew sees Savannah navigating public life with that internal compass always active. The result is admirable consistency, but it can also create isolation. When your internal bar is set high, rest feels indulgent. Tears feel like indulgence. Drew's insight wasn't meant to diagnose. It was meant to humanize. She believes understanding that invisible dialogue helps explain why Savannah appears so unwavering even during deeply emotional chapters. Generational healing in real time. Interestingly, Drew observed something hopeful. When Savannah speaks about her own children, her tone softens noticeably. She describes encouraging them to express emotion openly. She allows imperfection. She models reassurance. Drew sees that as quiet generational healing. You can honor your upbringing while refining it. You can carry forward resilience while adding tenderness. That duality doesn't erase the past. It evolves it. Drew suggested that Savannah may be consciously giving her children the unconditional reassurance she herself had to work harder to internalize. That doesn't mean Nancy withheld love. It means the expression of love may have emphasized strength over softness. Watching Savannah parent differently feels to Drew like growth in motion, not rebellion, but balance. And that balance may ultimately be Savannah's greatest inheritance to her daughters. Public strength, private weight. Drew emphasized that composure does not equal absence of emotion. It simply means emotion is processed privately. Public figures are often judged for how they respond to personal difficulty. Cry too much and you're unstable. Cry too little and you're cold. Savannah seems to default to poise. Drew believes that choice reflects decades of conditioning around dignity. When she speaks carefully and maintains calm tone, it isn't performance in the theatrical sense. It's alignment with how she was taught to move through hardship. But Drew worries gently about the internal toll. When you never allow visible collapse, where does the pressure go? Likely inward. And that's where compassion becomes essential. Not public spectacle, but private space to exhale. Even the strongest among us need somewhere to put the weight down. Why this resonates so deeply. Drew's reflections resonated because they felt universal. Many people grow up equating love with achievement, approval with composure. Many learn to earn affection by excelling. Savannah's story, as Drew sees it, simply unfolds under brighter lights. The themes are familiar. A daughter wanting to make her mother proud. A woman striving to balance strength and vulnerability. A professional carrying personal expectations quietly. Drew believes recognizing this dynamic doesn't diminish Savannah's accomplishments. It contextualizes them. It allows audiences to see not just the polished journalist, but the person shaped by devotion and discipline. And perhaps it invites viewers to examine their own inherited scripts, the messages they carry from childhood about what it means to be worthy of love. Permission. Beyond performance. Drew ended her reflection with something simple yet profound. Strength is admirable, but it should never be the price of love. She hopes that one day, Savannah, and anyone raised with high expectations, fully internalizes that they are enough without constant proof. That love doesn't evaporate when composure cracks. That worthiness is not a performance review. In saying this, Drew wasn't criticizing a mother or exposing a secret. She was offering empathy, the kind that comes from having wrestled with your own family history and emerging gentler. If there's a takeaway from her insight, it's this. Behind every composed public figure is a human being still negotiating old lessons about strength and approval. And sometimes the most powerful support we can offer is permission. Permission to rest, to feel, and to be loved without earning it.